Hello, my name is Dr. Sam Miles. I'm the Subject Coordinator for the BSc Applied Accounting at Oxford Brookes University. This is the second resubmission podcast, and today we will be looking at fails on technical and professional skills 3 and 4. Criteria 3 is the evaluation of information, analysis and conclusions, and there are 5 reasons a fail grade may be awarded. The first is if your work is deemed to be descriptive and lacking in analysis, you may have inaccuracies or little or no critical evaluation. This tends to be the most common reason for a fail. Let's look at the difference between description and analysis and evaluation. Description is replicating data, answering the question what. For example, what was the operating profit? What was the trending operating profit? That is insufficient to pass. You have to dig deeper and include some analysis and evaluation in order to answer the questions how, why, and so what. How would look at the accountancy numbers behind a ratio, for example, but you'd also need to explain why those numbers changed. Was it due to strategic decisions? Did the economic environment impact that ratio? What factors identified from the business analysis impacted the ratio, and so forth? The so what looks at the consequences. Did this action result in the exceptional performance or enable the company to overcome challenges? Make sure that you are dealing with the analysis in light of your topic number as well, because the two have to marry together. The second reason is when you have a description of business activities with limited reference to or discussion of the theories or the concepts or business models that you've chosen. All discussion in the analysis and the findings must be applied. Do not reproduce information on the background of a business or paraphrase excerpts from a CSR or annual report. You're expected to use the materials you read to apply and then analyse the models. If you have large sections of discussion which are not applied, they are adding little value to your work. Some material covered may be very useful, but only if you apply it to the models selected. The third reason why you may have received a fail on evaluation of information, analysis and conclusions is because there's no analysis in the context to which the information is gathered or the organisation's operations. And this really relates to your topic choice and your research aims and questions. And it's a very common error to just produce a generic performance evaluation for topics 4, 5 and 8, but that doesn't satisfy the research aims, so you'll also get a fail on criteria 4, which is topic aims not met. The business analysis for topic 8 should focus on the industry and highlight the challenges faced. And the business analysis for topics 4, 5 and also the ethical performance 13 and 14 should focus on the company and highlight those drivers of exceptional or poor performance. The drafting of the research aims and questions is very important here. These should relate to the outcomes of your project, to evaluate the performance of a company, for example, not to your personal task list, for example, to conduct research or to identify appropriate models. 4 to 5 well-crafted research questions is sufficient. You don't need to have a long list here. Next up, you may have a fail because you've maybe overshot on your word count and you failed to provide adequate conclusions. Many fails relate to weak conclusions, and they are such a vital part of critical thinking. You're expected to conclude on, firstly, your research aims and your research questions, secondly, in relation to your topic title, and thirdly, to summarise the key takeouts from your analysis. So for topics 4 and 5, the drivers of the poor or exceptional performance should be highlighted, and for topic 8, the managerial response to the challenges highlighted from the analysis should be outlined. And your conclusions need to be drawn on how successful these were. If you are running out of word count, do not cut the conclusions, but instead edit down your earlier sections of work. We also have a fail in this criteria if there's unacceptable academic practice due to over-reliance on analysis previously completed by other authors without additional research or analysis. So write in your own words, please. Read around the topic, think about what you've read, and then write. Do not cut and paste. There are a plethora of ready-made business analyses on the internet, but they are very poor quality. They tend to be generic, based on an industry rather than a specific company, and generally not fit for purpose. So do not be tempted to use them. You're expected to undertake your own work and not to rely on ready-made analysis, and that includes the work of other students. For criteria 4, which is presentation of project findings, there are 5 reasons for a fail grade. First of all, it may be that your report was not very effective and it didn't engage the reader. Now, that's quite frequently the case with artificial intelligence generated materials or patch written submissions or submissions put through paraphrasing and translation software, because there tends to be a lack of coherence between the sections and the writing styles. English might not be your first language, but we would prefer to see your version using your English. Weak structure with little or no logical framework is another reason for failing criteria 4. Please see the information pack here for advice on how to structure your work. There are compulsory elements to be included. And for many topics, the business analysis should come first. It should precede the financial analysis, as it's not logical for it to follow on afterwards. The third reason is that you fail to include graphs, or your graphs are incorrect, inconsistent, or unclear. It's always better to have graphs rather than tables, because they're a better communicating complex data and trends, and they also facilitate benchmarking, whereas tables don't do that. So it makes your analysis easier. If you've undertaken primary data, it may be that you have forgotten to include some things, such as your permissions letter, or you've not included your research instrument, or you've not included your raw data. If it's secondary research, then make sure that you have some kind of excerpts from the annual report, and it's easiest if these are included in the spreadsheet. And finally, we also have unacceptable academic practice as a template for the research has not been used. Do not use a template for any aspect of your submission. Do not accept templates from your mentor. It is your responsibility not to use a template. I hope you found this short podcast useful.